Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the picture today, let's start the story of part 2 of a story where Issei become the true silver dragon god emperor of fate. But before we start, please consider subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. Don't forget to check the description for more information. Now let's get into part 2. Issei's mind. Currently, we see Issei waking up in a field of transcendent blue flowers that glow a beautiful azure blue. The sky was dark but was filled with beautiful brilliant stars that looked to be filled with so much help and dreams of so many beings from around the world, and the air felt so pure and peaceful. Just the feeling of the wind blowing on the brown-haired boy's neck put the boy at ease, as if what just occurred to him a few minutes ago never happened. But there was one question that remained on the brown-haired boy's mind, and that was, Issei. Curious, where am I? Serious, this is Avalon. Issei, startled. When Issei looked to see where the voice came from, what stood in front of the boy was a large western dragon that was several meters in size and was covered in beautiful silver and gold scales that were sharp as blades. Even its wings looked as if it could be used as weapons given how sharp they looked. It has 2 large golden horns. Its tail ends in 3 large movable prongs that can be used to grab small prey. The dragon's overall figure looked as if it was a knight in shining armor, given how sturdy the plating. His scales were even more so than Ddraig when the brown-haired boy first met him in his true form. The dragon had deep crimson blood-red eyes that didn't give off the feeling of being evil or wicked, but it was filled more with passion. The aura that the dragon naturally released was that of nobility of the highest degree. Even Issei, who still didn't know who this dragon, had the urge to instinctively bow respectfully in front of the mighty beast. Issei, in awe, it's you. Smiles softly, it's good to see you as well, Issei Hyoudou. Issei, sad and well, I'm pretty sure I won't be calling myself Hyoudou pretty soon. Sad and I see, then please forgive me. Issei sighs. It's alright. I have begun to make my peace on the matter. Right now I'm just trying to steel myself for when the time comes. Serious, you are a truly resilient person, Issei. Not many people would be able to endure what you are about to go through, and in that you have my deepest respect. Issei smiles softly. Thank you. Curious. Oh, this place is called Avalon. How did I get here when my body was just at the park in Kwa? Serious. Your body is still in Kwa, but this isn't Avalon, at least not the real one. Issei confused. What do you mean? Serious, well, for starters, Avalon is only one of the many names that this place has received over the centuries, include being called Utopia, Turn on OG, and the Garden of Eden, though that last one is probably a bit more accurate, since the Garden of Eden that you probably heard of in the Bible is actually essentially a cheap replica of the original. But just like the story of Eden, it was indeed the home and birthplace of remarkable beings, but it was not the humans Adam and Eve, but in truth it was the birthplace of the biblical God and his older brother Mundus. Issei shocked. What, God and Mundus were brothers? Serious, yes, they were. In fact, all of the original gods and primordial beings that you might have heard of were all born here, even legendary dragons. And beasts like Ddraig and Albion were born here. The only beings who were not born here were the 2 dragon gods' office, the dragon god of infinity and great red, the true red dragon god of dreams and illusions. You see, before the heavens and the earth, before your universe was born, this place existed. This completely shocked the brown-haired boy, finding out that he was standing in the birthplace of not only the dead biblical god and sealed-away demon king, but also every legendary god and dragons like Ddraig and Albion. The brown-haired boy felt like he was in a place that was completely out of his comprehension, as well as feeling he didn't deserve to be in such a beautiful place. The silver dragon noticed Issei's nervous and shocked expression and decided to help calm him down. Serious, relax, like I said, this is just an exact replica of the real thing. In truth, this is your true mindscape after overcoming the corruption that was infecting you. Issei nervous, I know, it's just despite being just a replica, it looks and feels so beautiful and peaceful that someone like me shouldn't be here. But at the same time, I don't ever want to leave. Serious, you are one of the very few who felt, but that is to be expected since you are my reincarnation. Issei confused. What do you mean? Serious, you see, unlike you and I, the gods and other legendary beasts felt like they had every right to live here, but sadly caused problems that forced me to essentially step in and kick them out. Issei shocked. Wait, you kicked them out of their home, but why? Serious, I wasn't the one who kicked them, it was the universe that declared that they should leave. They say, confused the universe. Nods yes. You see the universe as a whole as a breathing and living being just like you and I, as such we're just living in its body so to speak. Even though a majority of beings cannot directly interact with the universe, it does have its way of letting those it wants to speak to know of its intentions. As such it did with me when I had to step in removing all of the gods and the legendary beasts out of Avalon, and essentially locking the door and swallowing the key. Issei. Serious, but why? Why did the universe want them out? They were born here and as such they should have every right to be here. Serious, you were not there, or at least you do not remember yet of being there. Confused. Serious, like I said, the gods and beasts of this world believed that they had every right to be here, which soon led to infighting. Essentially, a civil war broke out to see who should have the right to rule the reverse side of the world. Issei. Curious, reverse side of the world. Serious, that is its true name. But in any case the world became so horrible it could very well destroy this beautiful place. As such I was forced to step in and remove all of them from this place. Of course they resisted, but they were no match for me. Eventually, once all of them were gone, this place began to heal and return to the paradise it once was. Even though some of them tried to force or sneak their way back in, I would be there to stop them and keep them out. Issei. Sad, and so you had to kick them out because the universe was sick and tired of their existence, just like how my parents were in truth sick and tired of me this entire time. Serious? No. Issei? Confused. Serious? Unlike your soon-to-be parents, the universe had another reason as to asking me to kick them out was because it cared for them. Issei? Confused. It cared for them. Thinking, let's see how to explain it in a way you can understand. Snaps his claws in satisfaction. Ah yes, you see, around this time the residents here were essentially adults already, and refused to move out of their parents' house, and thus needed a big push so that they could learn to live on their own and make their paradise. Issei. Eyes narrowed. I see, but it sounds like they were more afraid to leave than anything. Smirks. He would be correct, and the universe knew that, and as such it had become that push they needed to strike out on their own. Since you will soon realize that both the choices you make and simply life in general is a leap of faith, and you must have confidence in yourself that you will land safely and walk away unscathed, or without any regrets. Issei smiles softly. I get it now. Even though in a way you had to play the bad guy, in the end you were really trying to help them by making them grow and be a better version of themselves. Smiles softly. Yes, I was. And eventually, some of the gods and legendary dragons that I met later on after their banishment began to understand that I was trying to help them, and even thank me for showing them the right path. Smiles weakly, though some habits are truly hard to get rid of as they still act like they were too superior to one another, and when humanity began to have followers that just inflated their egos even more. But I can't judge them too much since compared to me, they are just children, and children sometimes do what children do best. And that is to make a ruckus and make mistakes. Smiles punly, but just like children, they will grow and learn their mistakes and become better people in the future. I say. Serious. I see. So since I'm pretty sure that I'm still sane, this must mean that the process was a success and I won't be becoming an evil dragon. Serious. Ah yes, I was so wrapped up in memory lane, I had completely forgotten to explain to you what happened after nearly succumbing to the darkness. But yes, you did defeat him, and with it, I thought a triumph such as this deserves a just reward, so to speak. Issei. Confused? What do you mean? Serious? When you finally defeated the embodiment of the dark draconic energy inside of you and passed out, I took over your body and finished removing your evil pieces. But not only that, I used a unique spell that I specially developed myself, in which I changed your body even further by making where my blood now flows through your veins. But you are still related to the Hyoudou. But this also means you will longer be just a normal humanoid dragon, but a true humanoid dragon, or essentially a small true dragon. Issei. Curious. Wait, what is the difference between a true dragon and a normal dragon? The difference being the title of true dragon belongs to the strongest of dragons, as well being just naturally stronger than normal dragons. Curious. Wait. Does that mean you were a true dragon? Nods. Yes. I was actually the first true dragon in existence before my death. Although, since your body is now that of a true dragon, might catch the attention of the other current true dragon in existence. Issei, sweat drops nervously. Please don't tell me I have to fight him. Smiles weakly. Hopefully you don't have to. Issei, deadpan. So I essentially am going to have a dragon hunting me down just because he's no longer the only true dragon in the universe. Fucking great. Serious. Well, as long as you don't give him a reason, then I would imagine he should just leave you alone for the time being. Mind. Sweat drops, which is what I want to say, sad and no doubt answered, finds out that this boy is my reincarnation. He will try to force him to surrender his body to me, even if it means killing him like he did to my last reincarnation. Even though in time me and his personality and memories will merge into one, so I truly have some troublesome younger siblings saddened. No matter what happens, it's truly hard to be the eldest sibling. Serious. Well, in any case, there are still a few things I need to tell you about your new body, so to speak. Is curious like what? Serious. Well, for starters, even though I was able to remove your evil pieces, a little bit of the dark draconic energy still lingered inside your body. Issei, concerned, does that mean I'm still going to become an evil dragon? Nods. No, since you essentially got rid of the core of the dark draconic energy. But thanks to me turning you into a true dragon, your body is currently developing antibodies, so to speak, to counteract it. Issei. Thinking. So does this mean I'll be immune to becoming an evil dragon? Serious. I wouldn't say immune, but definitely highly resilient, so that if you ever become overwhelmed with negative emotions again, the likelihood of you becoming an evil dragon is extremely low. Issei. Serious. Okay. That's good to know that I won't be becoming an evil dragon anytime soon. Serious. Well, on top of your increased resilience, your base stats definitely, to which before all of this you overall had the stats of a base low-class devil, but now with your new body, you should have the raw stats of the powerful high-class dragon, which is in truth a lot more powerful than a high-class devil, but you will need to train to help stabilize your new raw strength. But not only that, when I did the enhancements on your body, it also undid the seals placed on your body. They say, curious seals. You mean the ones that Rias placed when she resurrected me? But that shouldn't be possible since the evil pieces are gone. Serious. No, this seal was not placed by the Gremory heiresses. In fact, this seal seemed to be placed on the day you were born, which added on to the one that Rias placed greatly placed a hindrance on your growth. This shocked the brown-haired boy since he had no idea that there was a seal placed on him when he was born, and it must have been a pretty decent seal as well if Ddraig himself didn't notice it. But the question that Issei had on his mind was who was it that placed the seal on him in the first place, and why he genuinely hoped he would figure it out in the future. Issei, meaning which meant? Serious. If your seals were undone by the time the Gremory reincarnated you, then you would have been at least on par with a middle-class or possibly high-class devil for sure. Issei. Sad, and Issei smiles sheepishly while scratching the back of his head. But in any case, I truly thank you for everything. If it wasn't for you snapping me out of my depression, then I would have been swallowed up by my own despair. I still don't even know your name. Sighs. You still haven't figured it out yet. But I can't blame you for that since this night was definitely not what I foresaw. In truth, I figured that you would have figured it out after unlocking my aura. But given what you just been through, you might have been a bit too preoccupied to try to piece it together. Issei? Confused. Then will you tell me who you are? Serious. I don't need to tell you who I am because you already know who I am since you are me and I am you. Issei, confused. But what does that mean? So I serious here, this should help. Curious some. Serious. Look into my eyes. Confused. Look into your eyes. Just trust me, this should help you realize what my name is at the very least. Not wanting to argue with the silver dragon, the brown-haired boy did as the dragon asked and looked into his eyes. His light brown eyes staring into the dragon's deep crimson as if staring into one's reflection of their own soul. Issei couldn't help but be mesmerized from looking into the dragon's eyes, since not only were they a beautiful deep shade of red, even more beautiful and majestic than Ria's hair, but they were filled with so much passion and determination, it couldn't be matched by any being dead or alive. If looked closely enough, The eyes of the dragon had small white particles that were glowing around the iris as if they were little tiny stars brimming with hope. But there was an immense amount of sadness deep within the dragon eyes, as if he was about to be forced into something that he didn't want to do. But he had no choice but to endure because it was the right thing to do. It was then Issei closed his eyes as he knew who this dragon's name was and said. Dragon smiled softly since he knew that this would at least help him figure out who he is. But as part in all of this, then the brown-haired boy will have to wait to when the time finally comes when he is in Remnant, where he will know the full truth for all of this. Smile softly. It seems you finally figured out what my name is, Issei. Smiles. Yes, I do. It was then Issei opened his eyes, but they were different, in which instead of the natural light brown eyes he was born with, he now had deep crimson eyes that matched the dragon, signifying that their sync has now begun. It was then Issei looked up to meet eyes with the silver dragon, in which he had a soft smile on his face as he said the dragon's name. Issei, smile softly. It's nice to finally meet you, bows respectfully, Malzeno-san. Valzeno, smiles softly, and it's good to finally meet you as well as my other half, bows respectfully, Issei. As the two finished their bows, the two dragons looked at each other with the same crimson-red eyes as they were about to discuss what to do next. Issei, curious, so what now? Valzeno. Serious, that Issei is for you to decide. You may be my reincarnation, but you are still your own person, and as such, you do not need to ask what you should do. But like I told you before, in order to help you be prepared for the great catastrophe that is coming, you will need to find the sons of Sparta and get to Remnant, as there you will get the power and answers you seek. Issei, confused, but I don't get it. If you already gave me the body of a true dragon as well as me having the boosted gear, it would help me get to heavenly dragon level. Answers. Why do I need to search for answers when you're right to give them to me? Balzeno, eyes narrow. Do not get cocky, hatchling, because the foe you must face during this great catastrophe has no one to scoff at it, since he is someone that not even Great Red with all his might could hope to defeat. Issei. Confused, the foe. Balzeno, serious. Yes. My eyes narrowed, my sworn nemesis, and throughout the eons he has gone by many names, as you will soon know of one of them. Serious. Oh, believe me when I say you will need all the power you can get for when the time comes, and the sons of Sparta will help you gain that strength. Size is for you getting answers, that is why you must go to Remnant Saturn. It is better you get them from the point of view that is not completely biased. This truly confused the brown-haired boy, since what did his previous reincarnation meant by it getting the point of view who wasn't completely biased. The expression on Malzeno's face made the brown-haired believe that the answers that he will seek, he will indeed not like them, but will have no choice but to endure the consequences of the path he was now set on. Even though he may not like it, he was indeed curious as to what was his part in this, since he knew that the silver dragon will not tell him, and as such, he will indeed find the sons of Sparta and head for Remnant wherever it may be. It was then Issei's thoughts were interrupted when Malzeno spoke again. Malzeno. Serious, well, I should be going. You should be waking pretty soon, since your new body is almost done finishing up with the adjustments that I added. Plus, Ddraig has been constantly trying to force himself in here since before you woke up, so it's best to not keep him waiting. Issei. Confused. Wait. Why are you leaving? I have so many questions, like how to use your aura or how to find the sons of Sparta or Remnant. Smile softly. The powers that my aura possesses will come to you naturally, both as time goes by and as you grow in strength. Plus, I believe that you will even further the aura in a way that I never could in my prime, which is why you are my one true hope, Issei. All you have to do is to have complete faith and hope in both yourself and the people around you. As for you finding the sons of Sparta and getting to Remnant, don't worry, someone will be sure to help you out. Issei. Confused. How can you know that? Valzeno. Smiles softly. Simple. I have faith. Now this will no doubt probably be the last time we see each other for a long while, so I wish you the best of luck, Issei. Issei. Confused. Wait, don't. But before Issei could say anything, Malzeno transformed into a large silver orb of light and flew up into the sky, in which he merged to what seemed like a silver sun, which had the brown-haired in complete awe. Issei. Ah, beautiful, so beautiful. Boom. Issei, Starlad, what the? Greg grumbles in annoyance while wincing in pain. Oh, that hurt like how serious while looking around. In any case, partner, where are you? Within the smoke of what seemed like a large explosion stood a large red western dragon that was at least around 70 meters in size with a long neck and red eyes. He also has red and golden spikes throughout his body. This was the Welsh dragon of domination in his true form. Upon hearing the voice of his partner, the haired boy decided to make his presence known as to help ease his partner's worries. Issei smiles softly. I'm over here, partner. Greg turns towards Issei's direction. Ah, there you are, partner. I actually worried when I couldn't reach you just when the corruption was about to consume you. Issei chuckles. Yeah. Sorry about that. I was having a private conversation with myself, so to speak. Greg, curious how well in any case, looks around. Just where shocked are we, as the legendary Welch finally processed on where he was currently standing, as he hadn't set foot in this beautiful and awe-inspiring place since he and Albion were just hatchlings until they were sadly forced to leave. Greg, in awe, partner, do you have any idea where we are? Bess smiles softly. Yes, I do. Smiles happily. Welcome home. Greg Gulch smiles sheepishly, even though this is probably just a cheap replica, so to speak. Ddraig, tearing up. No, partner, this is essentially a 99% replica of the real one. I honestly can't believe it. I'm actually home. It was then something happened that no one from the supernatural, not even rival Albion, would see or hear, and that was the legendary Welsh dragon of domination, who was feared by both gods and demon kings alike throughout the supernatural world, was actually shedding tears. But these tears were not out of sadness or grief, but out of pure joy, since he never thought the day would ever come, especially after being sealed away inside the boosted gear, would he actually get to see and feel the land of his birth, the place he was originally born in. Issei, of course, stayed quiet because he figured this must be a lot for him to process, since this would be the equivalent to returning to the home one would grow up in, and as such emotions will always run high whether be good or bad. But at the same time, he was truly happy for his partner, since he probably believed after being sealed away inside a sacred ear, he would never get the chance to see the place of his birth ever again, and after seeing it with his own eyes, he would feel the same way. Thus being here made the brown-haired boy feel like he was witnessing all the wonders that universe has to offer into one, and he had the rare pleasure of seeing them right before his eyes. It was then the blissful silence ended when Issei heard Ddraig sniffling as he was trying to wipe away his tears. Ddraig smiles while wiping his tears away. Thank you, Issei. You truly are the best host a dragon like me can ask for. Ever since I was locked away inside this stupid sacred gear, all hope that I could ever return to this beautiful and wondrous place died a long time ago. But now, even though this is technically a mental replica, just seeing and feeling the air of my birthplace has rekindled the hope that I once lost. Issei smiled softly. No problem, partner. I know this might be emotional to come back to the home that you and Albion were forced to leave in. Greg, surprised. Wait, you know about that? Issei nods while saying, yeah, I know about the war that took place eons ago, and how you two along with the original primordial gods were forced to leave since the war would have destroyed this place. Greg, curious, partner, how do you? Issei, serious. Like I said, I was having a private conversation with myself, or at least the original version of myself before you got here, in which he told me the history of this place. It turns out I'm a reincarnation of the dragon that forced all of you to leave. Upon hearing that, the Welsh dragon quickly thought about what his partner just said as he looked into his new deep crimson red eyes that was calm and naturally radiated an aura of power and nobility of the highest degree. Hearing the part that his host said that he was the reincarnation of the dragon that forced him to leave, the legendary red dragon eyes widened in shock and disbelief of who his partner was the reincarnation of. The brown-haired boy was then shaken out of his peaceful mind when he felt the ground around him shake, in which he saw Ddraig was lowering himself as if he was bowing down to his superior, which surprised to say, since it was one thing to see his partner cry after seeing his birthplace after so long, but bowing before him was a different story. Issei, confused while sweat dropping out. Ddraig bows respectfully. Melzano-sama, you have returned to us. Issei panics nervously. What are you doing? Please stop bowing, it feels completely weird, man. Greg. Serious while standing on all fours. Forgive me, but I thought it was only right to give my respects to the first true dragon in existence. Issei. Sweat drops. Yeah. Malzeno did tell me about that, and essentially my body is now to that of a true dragon. Curious, but do you know who Malzeno is, Ddraig? Ddraig. Serious. I see. Well, Malzeno was the true dragon god of hope and fate, otherwise known as the guardian dragon knight of peace. He was a dragon that was considered to be even stronger than the current dragons of Dragon's Great Red, who is the true red dragon god emperor of dreams and illusions, and is currently one of the strongest beings in existence. Now this shocked the brown-haired boy, since sure he could sense that Malzeno seemed to be a very powerful dragon just from the power he radiated alone. But to think he was actually a dragon god and a true dragon on top of being the first one in existence was a whole another story, as well as the fact that he was supposedly stronger than the current strongest being in existence. This made Issei have a sense of both pride and honor to be the reincarnation of the dragon that even made Ddraig, who was a heavenly dragon, to give so much praise and respect. But this also made the brown-haired boy feel extremely nervous and a bit overwhelmed, since this meant he had a lot to live up to, since if Malzeno was able to gain the respect of one of the most powerful dragons in the universe, then no doubt a majority will no doubt have the same reaction. This of course made Issei groan in annoyance, since he wished that his previous incarnation left him with an instruction manual, or something to know how to act or behave as a true dragon of his stature, completely unaware that he will naturally become more or less like him as time goes by. Issei. Sweat drops nervously. I see. Greg. Serious, which honestly now explains the nightmares you were having in the first place. Issei. Confused. What do you mean? Greg. Serious, as the dragon god of fate, Malzeno had the power to see both the past and the future, while most gods or entities like the Sisters of Fate can only see fragments of the future, which is why they explain the future in riddles or in a sense prophecies. Issei. Thinking because they couldn't see the full picture, could they? Greg. Serious. Precisely, but Malzeno was different. For some reason he could see both the past and future as clear as day. Even if one were to try to change the future, Malzeno was able to see it coming. Hence why he was an opponent that many would not want to face on top of his overwhelming power and might. Serious. I see. Both the nightmares and what happened during my spar with Hyoudou earlier must have been signs of me awakening Malzeno's aura or reawakening my aura. Greg. Curious with a raised eyebrow. I'm surprised that you're not saddened or furious at what's about to happen to you, partner. Issei. Sighs. Serious. Don't get me wrong, a good part of me is both saddened and angry for what Rias and the others are about to do to me, but I guess already knowing what's going to happen as well, getting rid of the corrupted draconic energy has essentially helped mellow me out a bit and prepare on what I'm going to say to them when I get home. Smiles softly. Besides, just being here just naturally helps calm me down, as if the world stopped spinning and allowed me to finally take one big long breath of relief. It's no wonder why none of you guys wanted to leave. This place just helps you calm down and forget about the problems of the world. Greg smiles softly. Yes, it does. Curious, so what will you do now? Issei smiles softly. Well, the adjustments to my body should be almost done. So for now let's just enjoy the scenery for a little while. Greg smirks. Humph. I can't complain about that plan. But that being said, both dragons just stared into the vast field with peaceful expression on their faces as they woke to be awakened once more. But different as Issei has once again settled in his rightful place, and will soon bring down the hammer of justice on the people who betrayed him. Meanwhile, outside the cocoon. Currently we see Zenobia sitting on the bench next to the cocoon that Issei was currently in, as she had just finished explaining how ever since the fight with Kokabiel, he had acted different, in which he's been training in secret, and when he received Avalon from Mikhail, that he came to both her and Hyoudou to help him with his swordsmanship, and that they would keep his secret training regimen a secret from Rias. When they asked why, they both noticed how Issei had this fearful expression, but decided to not pry on it, since they believed Issei had his reasons and that he said he would tell both Rias and Aquino after the leaders' summit. The blue-haired knight then explained how earlier when they left the school after training Gasper, how he seemed to be in a trance which led them to this park. in which Issei begrudgingly revealed his relationship with the fallen angel Rainer and the mental trauma it left him, which had him develop a fear of expressing to the woman he was close to in fear they would reject them like Rainer did. The fallen angel leader couldn't help but sigh in sadness after learning what his former subordinates did to the brown-haired boy, since that trauma could not affect his progression and growing strength, but also as a person, especially for someone who would live for 1,000 of years. Even though Issei might be hesitant, he would do everything he can to help the brown-haired boy in hopes to repay for what his kind had done to him. Ali did not show it, but he did feel sorry for what happened to his rival, since that mental block could be a hindrance to his growth, and he wanted his rival to be at his best, for when the time came when their fated battle would commence, they would fight with everything they have. But one thing that both silver-haired boy and the fallen leader knew was that there was something more to this story, since his trauma would not be enough for Issei to try to activate the Juggernaut drive. But they could tell that Zenovia did not know more and believed that they would have to ask the brown-haired boy himself when he emerges from the cocoon he was currently in. Zenovia sat in, and that's what happened. Azazel. Serious Issei, though it still doesn't explain how he was still able to invoke the chant of the Juggernaut drive. Zenovia. Confused? What do you mean, Ali? Serious. Many of the past Sekiryuutei and Hakuricum have had traumas just because of who they were, but 9 times out of 10, that isn't enough to activate the Juggernaut drive. The trauma may have been a decent foundation per se for the curse to activate, but the current host essentially needs one final nudge for the curse to truly activate and begin the activation of the Juggernaut drive. It seems Hyoudou was hiding something pretty deep that the only person he probably would have told was Ddraig, since they are mentally as well as spiritually linked. Azazel. Serious, which means we won't know what caused him to go into such a state until he wakes up. Ali. Serious, you mean if it's even still gonna be Hyoudou that comes out? For all we know, it could be that mysterious voice that was currently taking over his body. Zenovia. Confused, but if that was the case, why would he willingly relinquish control over to Issei? Albion. Serious, she's right, Valley. And believe me, this being would never do something so heinous as to forcefully control another being or go back on his word. Vala. Fully control another being or go back on his word. Vali. Serious, yet you will not tell us who being is and why you have so much respect for him. Albion. Serious, when Ddraig's host wakes, then you will know why I acted the way I did, and if Ddraig is still awake there, he is probably overwhelmed with both pride and respect for who his partner truly is. This made everyone feel a bit suspicious about what the legendary dragon was saying, since he was no doubt hiding something, but wouldn't tell anyone until the brown-haired awoke. All the while, Lazazel was trying to think on who this mysterious being was, since he has been around for a few 1,000 years and have met a lot of beings during that time, but none of them clicked, and the fact that he knew who his father and older brother were just left many more clues for him to unravel. But before any of them could figure out what to do, all of them could grumbling from the boy in question, signaling that he was about to wake up. As Azazel began to open, to which they still held the red-crimson eyes that the being still had when he was controlling Azazel, both Vala and Azazel got into battle-ready stances, since they didn't know who it would be waking up, while Zenovia prayed, hoping that Azazel was still there. While both Vali and Azazel were both in awe and a bit intimidated by the power he was naturally releasing. Zenovia, concerned while still a bit pink. Issei, are you okay? Issei looks to Zenovia with a neutral expression. Zenovia, nervousome. Issei, neutral, smiles softly. Of course, I am Zenovia-san. Why wouldn't I be? Upon hearing the brown-haired boy's actual voice, as well as having a gentle smile on his face on top of not going berserk, both of them dropped their guards, as it seemed that process was a success. Azazel sighs while grinning. Geez, kid, you almost had a heart attack. Issei smiled sheepishly while sweat dropping. Sorry about that, but as you can tell, a lot of things happened. It was then Issei got up from the bench to stretch his entire body until his bones popped, to which Issei hummed in satisfaction. Issei smiles weakly. I guess I owe you all an satisfaction. Issei smiles weakly. I guess I owe you all an explanation, Ali. Serious. Yeah. You do. I do, like as in how the hell were you able to prevent yourself from becoming an evil dragon? Issei. Serious. I'll explain everything, and just looks around, but first Azazel. Azazel. Curious, yeah? Serious, can you summon a small box so I can put away my evil pieces? Azazel. Confused, okay, sure. But that said, Azazel summoned a small magic circle in which a small box came out of it, in which he handed it over to his evil piece. As the brown-haired boy picked up the pawn piece, the corrupted and malevolent energy that were inside the evil piece tried to latch itself onto his, but no matter how much it tried, it couldn't seep into Issei's body, which meant his new resistances was indeed working. As Issei was gathering the last of his evil pieces, Vali, upon seeing this, became curious as he tried to pick up one of Issei's pieces despite what Malzeno told both him and Azazel not to. But unlike Issei, as soon as the silver-haired boy picked up the pawn piece, the corrupted and malevolent energy reacted violently as it tried to seep into Vali, as well as affecting Albion. Even when Vali dropped the piece, the energy still latched onto him like a web as if it didn't want to let go. Seeing this, Issei panicked as he was both annoyed and concerned for his rival for doing something so stupid. Issei panics, shit. Blade. With that call, Issei summoned the boosted gear in which he summoned the blade of Ascalon through it. It was then Issei using the blade cut through the connection between Vala and the dark draconic energy that was trying to corrupt him. This of course caused Vala to back away as he was breathing a bit heavily at what that dark energy that was trying to enter him. Even Albion felt that the malevolent energy was also trying to get to him as well. Vali breathes heavily while trying to collect himself. Well, what the hell was that? Albion, groggy whatever that was, it was also trying to get to me as well. Gonk. Issei. Annoyed, you idiot. It was then Issei punched his rival in his face for being such an idiot, which both confused and infuriated the silver-haired boy. Vali. Annoyed. What the hell was that for? Issei. Annoyed for you being a complete and utter idiot. Didn't my other half tell you especially to not touch my evil pieces? If I didn't cut the connection when I did, then both you and Albion would have become evil dragons. This shocked everyone, especially Vali and Albion, since they had no idea that they were going to become evil dragons. But then again, this made Albion think about the energy that was entering the host did feel similar to him, in which it had the aura of an evil dragon. Ali. Confused. What are you talking about, Hydu? Issei. Sighs in annoyance. Serious. You wondered how I was able to prevent myself from becoming an evil dragon, right? Holding up his pawn piece. Well, this is how I essentially transferred all of the dark draconic energy that was inside of me into my evil pieces. Azazel. Surprised and amazed, is that even possible? Serious. Well, now it is. To be honest, what I did was just a theory I came up with on the spot because I was running out of time, and the only place I could send the dark draconic energy was the evil pieces because they were the only things that could hold them for the time being. Albion. Serious. I must say I'm impressed by you, host of Ddraig, since certainly what you did would be considered completely impossible, especially since the process of becoming an evil dragon is impossible to stop. But given who you his reincarnation of, I'm honestly surprised in the slightest. I say, serious, so you know who I was? Interesting. Well, in any case it is and isn't, so to speak. Albion. Confused. What do you mean? I say. Serious. Well, to explain what happened to me, we will need to explain the process of becoming an evil dragon in the first place. As you and Ddraig know, the process of becoming an evil dragon starts when said dragon becomes overwhelmed with negative emotions like betrayal, the loss of a loved one, and so on, in which its draconic energy starts to become dark and thus spreading throughout the rest of the dragon like a parasite, until said energy fully consumes the dragon, both body and soul, in which that parasite become more of a symbiote, essentially, in which it drastically changes the dragon's personality, which is filled and fueled by the negative emotions that gave birth to the symbiote in the first place. Azazel. Curious, and I'm guessing this is where your theory comes into play. Nods. I'm serious. I may not be the smartest kid in the world, but I at least know a few things. If I was able to get into Ko Academy, in which I knew I couldn't destroy the energy that was corrupting me, but also couldn't convert as well, hence there was only one thing I could do. Azazel. Eyes widen in amazement. Who transferred it? Issei. Nods. Exactly, but I would imagine this process can only work if said dragon was in the early stages of the transformation, similar to removing a tumor before turning into a cancer cell. But sadly, I didn't have the energy to fully push back the draconic energy, hence why I asked Ddraig to turn me into a dragon so that I could have enough draconic energy to push back the dark draconic energy. But it seems there was some side effects of that happening in which the dark draconic energy will try to attach themselves onto any source of draconic energy, thus turning that dragon into evil dragon, and since Vala is the Hakuricum, he is an exception since he is a pseudo-dragon of sorts. Eyes narrowed, though I don't entirely know what would happen if Rias were to use these pieces on a non-dragon being. Azazel. Serious, though given your expression can you have a rough idea what will most likely happen? Issei. Sai sadly smiles, sadly clever as expected from the leader of the fallen angels. But yes, I do have a rough guess in which that piece will forcibly turn that person into an evil dragon. But without an original source of draconic energy, or a dragon core, then it will be very dangerous. In which, yes, the person will gain the power and strength surpassing that of a dragon king, but not only will cost them their sanity, but also their life force, since the evil piece will rapidly drain the life force of the host and rinse and repeat until it finds a suitable dragon host in which to settle in. So while this could be considered a treatment, or a cure to prevent one from becoming an evil dragon, it would seem that it is a couple years or even centuries before it could be perfected. Everyone was indeed impressed, especially Albion, since even though the process was shaky at best, he couldn't believe that his rival's host had essentially found a cure to prevent more of his kind from turning into evil dragons. But there was one thing that they were confused about, and that was what did Issei mean when he referenced his other half? Ali. Serious, Haide. You said that it was your other half who told me not to touch your evil pieces, which you meant by the being that took over your body. Correct? Albion knew who he was but wouldn't say until you awakened, so care to enlighten the rest of us. I say. Serious? Oh, right. Well, to be fair, I think it's more precise. He was my previous reincarnation, or I'm his current reincarnation, however you want to think about it. But simply, I'm a reincarnation of a powerful dragon both Albion and Ddraig knew eons ago. It was then the emerald green gem on the boosted gear began to glow, and spoke the voice of Ddraig. Ddraig. Serious, my host here is the reincarnation of Lord Malzeno. Albion. Serious, I must say, Red One, I'm genuinely envious of you since your host is the reincarnation of the true vanishing dragon. Ali, shocked, what the hell, I thought you were the vanishing dragon, Albion. Albion. Serious, I am, but Malzeno-sama was the true vanishing dragon. His speed was truly out of this realm or any other, as if he was like a shooting star across the night sky. When I was just a hatchling, I once saw Malzeno face off an entire army of god-class beings all by himself, and before I could even think of blinking, the whole army was completely annihilated with Malzeno not having a single scratch on him. The feeling that I had when I saw changed me for the rest of my life, in which I wanted to be like Malzeno. I wanted the feeling of being a dragon that was so superior that all of my enemies would know they didn't stand the chance of going against me from the start. I wanted to be the next true vanishing dragon. But even after years of training and becoming one of the strongest dragons in my prime, I was still nowhere near the speed that Malzeno had on that day. Greg. Serious. Ah, yes, I remember that day as well. You could. I was also inspired as well. I wanted to be a dragon who could completely dominate the battle and always come out victorious. But just like Albion, even in my prime I was still nowhere near the power that Malzeno had. Zenobia. Confused, so just who this Malzeno person is exactly? Issei. Serious, from what Ddraig told me, Malzeno was the true dragon god of hope and fate, a being of immense power that was even far superior to Great Red. Everyone with the exception of the two heavenly dragons was shocked by what Issei told him, in which he was actually the reincarnation of the strongest being that ever existed. Though Issei could see in both Azazel and Vala's eyes, that didn't entirely believe him. So to help to convince them that he was telling the truth, he decided to try to release a small portion of his newfound aura to validate his new identity. But unfortunately for the brown-haired boy, since he didn't have any training or control of his new power, he accidentally released huge silver aura exploded from Issei's body that was able to, not only was it enough to terrify everyone in the area, but knocked them down to the point they were all on one knee as if they were bowing. But what really caught them off guard was the shape of the aura was taking. The bright silvery aura took the form of a large western dragon with glowing crimson-red eyes, to which caught everyone in complete awe and shock as the amount of power and nobility that Issei's aura was radiating. All the while both Ddraig and Albion couldn't help but feel like they were hatchlings again, upon sensing the aura of the original dragon of dragons in all its empowering and majestic beauty. Azazel. Shocked, I can't believe it, so it's true, he really is his reincarnation. Zenobia. In awe, so beautiful. Upon seeing everyone, especially Zenobia, having a hard time getting up, Issei did his best to reel in back his aura so that everyone could get and walk around normally. Issei smiles nervously. Sorry about that, I guess I need time to really control his power. Azazel. Surprised, damn kid, honestly. Who would have thought that you would be Malzeno's reincarnation? It's honestly surprising given everyone believed that he disappeared without a trace. But to think someone as powerful as him was actually killed. Issei. Surprised, wait, so none of you guys knew what happened to him? Greg. Serious. No, they don't, partner, since despite the most respected and powerful dragon that had ever existed, he was always shrouded in mystery. But even long before the three-way war between the biblical factions, he just disappeared for no reason. Some of us believed that he secluded himself in the reverse side of the world since he was its protector, and believed that war would extend to that plane of existence. Albion. Serious. Oh yes, for us to find out he was dead on top of you being his reincarnation is probably even more shocking than people finding out that the biblical was dead all along. Issei. Serious. I see. Well, I want to say I could tell what happened to him, but I sadly don't know anything about him besides his name and title. Greg. Serious. Well, since not only have you unlocked his aura as well as being his reincarnation, I would imagine you would naturally gain more and more of his memories as time goes by. On top of the fact that both of yours and Malzeno's personalities will also merge into one, so you won't be Malzeno, but you won't be either, but something in between. Thinking, I see. Well, given what's about to happen to me, I guess a change in personality wouldn't be too bad. Zenobia. Confused? What do you mean? Issei. Sai is serious to explain that it's best that I explain what happened to me when I almost went into the Juggernaut Drive. Flashback. We currently see Issei inside his home, but there was something wrong with the first, being he didn't remember actually arriving home or saying goodbye to Zenobia, as well as the fact he definitely remembered never leaving the park. But the second thing that told him that this wasn't real was the fact that there were two of him, except the version of him had a more sharper face, and his eyes were crimson red. But the most awkward feature was the long streak of silver snow-white hair he had. Issei was at the dining table, and in front of him were both his parents along with the orc, with the exception of Zenobia, Hyoudou, and Gasper. Once everyone in the room noticed that entered the room, to which they barely gave a glance towards him. Rias then began to speak in a cold and neutral tone. Rias, vision. Cold I've decided to kick you out of my peerage. Well, I do thank you for saving me from that marriage from Riser. The fact of the matter is that you are far too weak. You had to use holy items in order to defeat Riser, which were questionable, and bad rumors have already begun towards both me and my family. I honestly would have thought you had changed after that, but I was wrong. The fight with Kokabiel was essentially a wake-up call telling me that no matter what you do, you cannot change and that you will always be a weak pervert. I do hope you'll understand my decision in the long run. Aikino. Vision. Sighs and annoyance. Honestly, Issei, even though I'm not that pure myself, but I even know my limits. Sadly enough, ever since you joined our club, poor Buchu has been receiving non-stop complaints about your perverted actions, which have put a lot of bad rep for not only the club, but also Buchu. Peneko. Vision. Monotone. You're just a weak, shallow pervert that only causes problems for Buchu, nothing else. Asia. Vision. Nods furiously. I'm sorry, Ase-san, but I can't be your friend anymore. Your perverted actions towards Buchu are just too much. Boru. Vision. Serious the same, and your mother have decided to disown you. Your overly perverted actions have caused nothing but bring shame to the Hyuda name. Eyes narrowed. So far we've only tolerated you because you were our flesh and blood, but after finding out the perverted things you have been doing in school as well as with these girls, we can no longer take it. Mickey, vision? Sad. And do you have any idea what it was like having all those parents look at us with judgmental and disgusted faces during open house when you made that sculpture of Rias? We were so embarrassed. We have tried to endure Issei and hope you would hopefully grow out of it. But it seems that, just like Rias says, you can't change no matter what we do. That's why we're adopting Asia as our daughter, and hopefully, Hyoudou will be our new son-in-law and have the perfect normal family. Issei was honestly both heartbroken and angry from what he is seeing right now. He was heartbroken that even his own parents didn't even want him anymore, and the fact this entire time they were just tolerating his existence just because they related. A part of him was also confused on when the hell did parents find out about the supernatural, and did they talk with Rias and the others about him being kicked out? But he was angry at how hypocritical his so-called parents were about him being so perverted when he got it from them, and how both his father and grandfather, to which his dream of becoming the harem king originated from. Even though he would never blame his grandfather or grandmother, the fact of the matter was that his own parents were acting like they were saints when in truth they didn't do anything to help him reduce his pervertedness. It was then he looked over to the orc, which even got him angry since it showed this entire time that Rias and the other girls were tolerating him just because he was the Sekiryuutei, and that if he didn't have Ddraig, then neither her or the rest of the girls wouldn't have given him the chance of day. It was then the brown-haired boy looked to his other self to see how's he dealing with this, only to see that he's completely unfazed on what's happening, like if he knew this was gonna happen, and as if on cue his other self eyes turned to look directly at him. Issei could tell what those eyes were telling him. They said that this is what exactly is gonna happen to him soon. Issei's anger then quickly turned to despair as he couldn't believe that this was indeed his fate, as he dropped to his knees upon realizing that he is destined to never be loved or accepted by anyone. Issei sheds tears of sadness. Is this my fate, to never be accepted or loved by anyone? Do Zenovia, Gasper, Hyoudou Arena just think that I'm just a weak pervert who will never be loved or accepted by anyone? Serious, I'm afraid so, yes. Issei startled, who said that? Serious, I did. As soon as the mysterious voice said those words, the world around Issei began to fade until it became a wide empty void. This confused the brown-haired boy because he had no idea what was happening and was currently too consumed by his negative emotions to try to figure it out. But it was then a black pool of some sort of mud appeared in front of Issei, in which from it emerged a shadowy figure that seemed to somewhat resemble Issei, but it was glowing red and filled with malice. But unfortunately for the brown-haired boy, he couldn't sense the corrupt and evil intentions of the being in front him. Issei, confused, who are you? Arcades. Serious, I am you. I am the manifestation of all your fears, doubts, pain, and suffering. As such, I know your pain more than anyone in the world, and as such, I want to help you. Issei, confused? Help me? Arcei smiles darkly. Yes, I can help you by making all those who doubted you ever regret their decision of abandoning you. All you have to do is let go and accept me into you, and we can become one. Confused, accept you? Dark Issei smirks darkly. Yes, accept me. And not only will I make you stronger than you could ever imagine, but I will help erase the pain inside your heart. No longer will you feel any pain, no sadness, no disappointment, and no more suffering. You will forever live your life in complete bliss without any worries. Gestures his hand to Issei. And all you have to do is take my hand. Issei didn't know what to think anymore upon finding out that almost everyone had ever loved him, never truly accepted him for who he is. He really couldn't think straight. But hearing this shadowy version of himself saying that he could help him not feel this pain inside of him felt so enticing that a small part of him felt he shouldn't trust this version of himself. But when the thoughts of what was replaying in his head, but this time a lot darker, in which not everyone in the room but also Zenovia, Hyoudou, Gasper, his grandmother, and even his childhood Arena, would look at him with disgust, and had dark smirks on their faces as they laugh at him for being so pathetic, completely unaware that these visions were being caused by the shadow version of Issei to try to convince to merge with him. When Issei couldn't take it anymore, he looked up to the dark version, who still had his hand up with a dark smile on his face. Feeling he had no other choice, he decided to accept his offer. Issei sheds tears. Will you really make all this pain go away? Dark Issei smiles darkly. You have my word. But that said, the brown-haired boy took the hand of the dark figure who smirked darkly that now he will be the one in control. As the dark energy began forming around the dark figure and into Issei, the world around them began to darken as if the light of what Issei was about to be consumed by the darkness that was in his heart. Just as the darkness was about to fully consume Issei, a booming voice came from deep within the voice, and with it a bright shining silver light came that pushed back the dark Issei, thus freeing a majority of the normal Issei from his influence. Serious, that is enough. Dark Issei, annoyed no. Issei. Confused when Issei turned to the source of the voice, what he saw was a 200-meter-size western dragon that was covered in beautiful silver and gold scales that were sharp as blades. Even its wings looked as if it could be used as weapons given how sharp they looked. It has 2 large golden horns. Its tail ends in 3 large, movable prongs that can be used to grab small prey. The dragon's overall figure looked as if it was a knight in shining armor given how sturdy the plating. His scales were even more so than Ddraig when the brown-haired boy first met him in his true form. The dragon had deep crimson blood-red eyes that didn't give off the feeling of being evil or wicked, but it was filled more with passion. Issei. Confused. Who are you? Valzino. Serious, like I told you before, I am you and you are me. Issei. Eyes widen in realization. You're that silvered-haired guy from my dream. You're actually a dragon. Valzino. Nods. Yes, I am, but sadly we don't have much time. Currently right now you are turning into an evil dragon. Looks at Dark Issei, and it's thanks to that parasite over there that is causing it. Dark Issei. Envoy, shut up. Issei needs us more than he will ever need you, and you just don't want to admit that. Here we are trying to give him a way out and be free from all of the pain and suffering that he is about to endure, points angrily at Malzeno. Well, you want to endure more pain and suffering, Malzeno. Eyes narrowed. You are not the answer nor the remedy that this boy needs. You are a venomous parasite trying to control Issei and make his life a living hell. Dark Issei. Eyes narrowed. Fuck you. Looks at Issei. Issei doesn't listen to him. He is trying to trick you into betraying me, just like how everyone is about to betray you. Join me and I will make all your dreams come true. Valzino, eyes narrowed while annoyed. I've heard enough. It was then the silver dragon spewed out a wall of white flames that completely separated Issei from the dark version of himself, but it knew that those flames will not keep away forever. As such, he needed to convince the brown-haired boy to stand up and fight off the darkness that has plagued his heart and soul. Belzino. Serious, those flames will not keep him out forever. Looks down towards Issei, and I cannot stop it. Only you can hide. Who? Issei. Issei. Sadden, is it true? Sheds tears. Am I really going to be tossed aside just because I was weak and perverted? Belzino. Sad, and yes you are. Issei. Frustrated while crying, but why me? I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to become a devil or be a complete pervert. Sad, and I just wanted to live a normal and peaceful life. Eyes narrowed in anger. So tell me why would Rias and the others just toss me aside? Why would my own parents disown me? I've only been part of the supernatural for only 2 months, and they expected me to be like some godlike being that they could rely on just because I had the boosted gear. If they wanted to change my perverted ways, then they could have told me or teach me. I would have changed for them if they given me the chance, especially my parents. Valzino. Sad, and I'm extremely sorry for you, you say. Truly no one should be experiencing what you are going through. Believe me when I say that if I truly had the power to change the outcome of what was about to happen to you, then I would. But sadly I cannot. I say. Eyes narrowed. Is it true that you are leading down a path filled with more pain and suffering? Belzino. Serious. Sadly, the path you are about to go on is indeed filled with pain and suffering, but that is just a part of life. I say. Hollow, then wouldn't I just accept the other me's offer so I don't have to feel any pain or suffering ever again? Belzino. Serious, because that is not moving forwards or backwards but staying in the same place. Issei. Confused Valzino. Serious, in life no matter who you are, You will encounter pain and suffering, but that is a part of life, to take in all that pain and suffering and turn it into your strength, the strength to move forward, because at the end of all your pain and suffering true hope will emerge. As you humans always, there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you are at the near the end of this tunnel. Issei. Saddened, but I don't know if I can make it. LZ no. Serious, yes you can. Issei said, and how? I mean, I'm just a normal human with no special talent, abilities, or even a special bloodline to fall back on. I don't want to admit it, but they are right, without the boosted gear or Ddraig I'm nothing. Belzino, mind. Serious, if you only knew just how special you really are, Belzino. Serious, you're wrong. You are indeed special because you have a power that essentially no one has. A power that would make someone like me be afraid and worry about facing. Saddened, really, what so-called power is that? Is it me being a boob-loving pervert? Belzino, serious, no, you have the power to make the impossible possible as long as you don't give up. Even before you fully awakened Ddraig, you were able to go up against someone like Raynor, Riser's Phoenix Peerage, Riser himself, and hell, even after you awakened him, you stood your ground against Kokabiel. Time and time again, you stared both death and despair in the face and spat on it, for you become the embodiment of hope and preservation for a new day for those around you. Issei. Sad, and even if you are right, what good will they do for me now? Malzino. Annoyed, didn't you hear what I just told you? Issei. Confused, Malzino. Serious, I said you have the power to make the impossible possible as long as you don't give up. Are you really ready to give up when you haven't taken that first step towards a new day brimming with hope? Issei. Sad, and I don't want to give up, but it still changes the fact that everyone, even my own parents, will still think that I'm just a weak and useless pervert. Valzino. Serious, then change. Issei. Curious, change. Valzino. Serious, change who is supposed to be, and prove to those who have misjudged and wronged you that you are not who they think you are. Since, like I said, you are the embodiment of hope and preservation of hope for a new day brimming with hope. But all this time you've been using it on others, it's about time you use that power on yourself, don't you think? To say, a bit hopeful while standing up, yeah, you're right. Serious. I just can't give up yet. I still have goals and aspirations I still want to achieve. Ever since learning the legend of Sparta, you could say it helped reignite my spark to becoming a hero of justice. Smirks, but more importantly, I need to help keep the dream Gai-san passed on to me alive, since I know he wouldn't want me to be like this despite what my Otaisen will do to me. Issei, mind? Smirks. Isn't that right, Gai-san? As soon as Issei thought of that, his mind went back to the last conversation that he had with his grandfather Issei Hyoudou before he passed away. Muzu, memory, smiles softly. Remember, Issei, if you want to be the true harem king, what is the first thing you must look for? Dialed Issei, memory. Smiles happily big. Muzo. Memory, laughs too heartedly while smiling. Yes. That is definitely important, since the bigger the better. Smiles softly, but also what you need is the will to never give up, just like those fancy anime characters that you watch. No matter times you get beaten up and fall down, or even something trivial as fate is stacked against you, pokes his chest, you must dig deep within yourself and find the strength to get back up and fight for what you believe in. Tiled to say, memory. Closes his eyes and thought never give up. Smiles happily. I get it now. Jai-san pounds his chest proudly. I promise I will never give up on the dream of becoming the true harem king. Muzo, memory. Smiles softly. Never change. Issei. Gently places his hand over Issei's heart. You have a heart that is purer than gold, which is something you can hardly find in this world anymore. That alone will not only help you become the true harem king, but also something more. Nods while humming in satisfaction. Yes, you are definitely destined for great things. I know it because of who you are, and you will succeed where I and you have failed. Titled Issei, memory. Tilts head in confusion. What are you talking about, Jai-san? Yuzo, memory. Smiles softly while ruffling Issei's hair. Nothing, something you will find out in due time. Just keep on staying who you are and all your dreams will become reality. Tile Issei, memory. Nods happily, having that conversation with his departed grandfather replaying his mind. The brown-haired boy couldn't help have a determined smirk on his face, with his eyes being filled with the undying resolve to get out this alive and well, so he can move forward on top of showing everyone that he was more than a boob-loving pervert. Upon seeing Issei's blazing determination, the silver dragon couldn't help smiling in appreciation because he knew that this boy was the right person to be his reincarnation. Valzino smirks. It seems you found the answer you were looking for. Issei smirks while nodding. Yeah. You're right. That thing in front of me is not the cure or remedy that I need, since all it would do is prove everyone right. Serious. But in order to truly move forward, I need to remove the shackles that bind me. I need to remove the evil pieces inside of me and face my fears head on and confront the people who doubted and judged me. Valzino smirk. Spoken like a true dragon, but how will you do it? Issei serious. First, I need to get rid of what's causing to become an evil dragon in the first place. Looks at Dark Issei, which I'm now guessing it's him, isn't? Belzino serious. Yes, it is, but it will be impossible for you to destroy since this is energy made from your soul and body. Issei, eyes narrowed. Right, energy can't really be created or destroyed. But Malzino smirks. But Issei stares at Dark Issei. You called that thing a parasite, right? Malzino nods. Yes, I did. Issei, eyes narrowed. If that thing is a parasite and I'm its host as well as being made out of energy, then if I can't destroy it, then I have to transfer it to something else. Malzino serious. But to where exactly, since you can't let this energy go rampant, infecting anyone or anything it comes into contact with? Issei thinking. Yeah, it needs to be contained. Contained. Eyes widen in realization. Contained. Malzino curious. You figured something out. Issei serious. My evil pieces, they are essentially containers for demonic energy, right? And since I have 8 inside of me, then I can probably transfer part of that dark energy into them. But even if I did transfer them into the evil pieces, that energy will still be inside of me in a way, so I need to figure out how to get the evil pieces inside of me. Well, Zeno smirks. Well, it's a good thing you have a partner that can help you get rid of him. Issei? Confused? I do, eyes widen in realization. That's right. Looks up. Ddraig. Ddraig. Surprised, partner? Issei. Serious. Greg, I need your help. Smiles softly. There is a small sliver of hope yet, but I cannot do it alone. Will you help me? Greg smiles softly. Of course, partner. What do you need me to do? Issei, serious. Is there a way for me to get rid of my evil pieces? Greg thinking there is. If you were to give me about half of your body, then I could use that energy to expel your evil pieces. But given your current situation, it will not be wise to do so. I see. Serious. I know that I'm currently turning into an evil dragon, but there is a slight chance to prevent it. But I need to get rid of my evil pieces first in order to prevent myself from turning into an evil dragon. Greg curious. What are you trying to do, partner? Issei serious. I'm going to transfer the dark draconic energy into my evil pieces. But in order to make sure that I won't be influenced or become corrupted again, I need to also get rid of my evil pieces. Greg serious. I see. But partner, you are talking about is merely just a theory. And even if it did work, the chances of you surviving is essentially 5%. Serious. Even if there was a 0.0001% chance of me surviving this, then I will take it. Smiles softly. If the off chance I do somehow die because of this, then I'm glad it was you, Ddraig, that did it. Even though we didn't have much time to get to know each other, and that I was essentially your weakest host ever, I'm glad that I met you. Greg, sad and partner, serious with determination. Alright, let's do it. Issei surprised. Really? Greg grins damn straight. Let's all of those fuckers truly know that even my weakest host is nothing to trifle with by a long shot. Issei smirks. Yeah. Valzino, mind. Smiles warmly. This is why I will always choose you to be my champion, my one true hope towards redemption. It's not because of the boosted gear or whose blood you have flowing in your veins, know it. It's the unique power that you alone was born with, and that is the ability to gain, and earn the trust and loyalty of those around you, as well as being the shining beacon of hope for those people in their darkest hour. It is that power alone is what he will fear the most for when the time comes for you two to battle. Once Ddraig explained to Issei about his situation outside, he was indeed surprised that both Azazel and his rival were here, but then he thought that this could work in his favor. I say, serious Ddraig, if you turn my body into that of a dragon, will Rias or the others sense my change? Ddraig, serious, yes, especially Hyoudou, since the amount of energy you will naturally release will be far greater than if you were a devil, and sadly you weren't trained to control and hide your presence. Issei, serious, then in that case tell Azazel that there is a chance to avoid me becoming an evil dragon, but that we need him to put a barrier so that neither Rias or the others find out what's going on. If we're lucky and this goes without a hitch, then we won't be killed off for what they did to us. Ddraig, serious. Very well then. Good luck, partner. Issei smiles while nodding. Thanks, Ddraig. I promise you that when we get out of here, that I will train my ass off to be your strongest host. Past, present, and future, I'll become so strong that also pass both you and Albion in your prime. Ddraig smiles warmly. I have no doubt in my mind that you will, partner. But that being said, Ddraig cut the connection with Issei so that he could relay his message to everyone outside. It was then the brown-haired boy turned his attention towards the silver dragon with a determined expression on his face. Well, Zeno. Serious, are you ready? Because once this goes down, I cannot help you. You'll be all on your own, and like I said, only you can stop it. Bess. Serious I am, and even though this will be one of many trials that I need to overcome, I will rise above them all like a real dragon. Valzino smirks, well spoken. Now your enemy awaits defeat this parasite and rise to become the very star you are meant to be. But that declaration made, the white wall of flames went away and the mysterious silver dragon disappeared into the mist. Once the flames were gone, Issei was now face to face with his dark counterpart, who was currently glaring daggers at him since he could tell that he was essentially rejecting him. Dark Issei glares at Issei. So you've decided to go against me? Issei. Serious, yes, and I'm truly sorry. I do believe that you truly represent all of the pain and suffering that I have endured till now, but what you were offering to me would have never helped me in the slightest. Arcee's eyes narrowed. You do know I won't simply submit and allow myself to be destroyed or be sealed away. Right? Issei smiles. Sadly, I know, because you are me and in some ways I am you. If that was the case, you wouldn't be me in the slightest, because we both know that the one thing that makes Issei Hyoudou who he is. Dark Issei smirks darkly, humph. Yeah. He never gives up no matter what. Issei nods while being serious. Yeah, that is correct. Summons the boosted gear, because if Issei Hyoudou were to ever give up. Blade. It was then the world around them started to shake, but neither were fazed as they were focused on each other, since they knew if one of them were to get distracted for even a second, then it would be over for one of them. As for the world around them, from the ground, 8 large crimson pawn chess pieces emerged, signifying the 8 pawn pieces that Rias used to reincarnate Issei. It would also be the soon-to-be prison of the dark draconic energy. With the battlefield set and the two opponents staring at each other in the face ready, they both at the same time roared their final declaration before battle. Issei, Dark Issei roars, his dreams and goals might as well die with him. But that said, both Issei and his dark counterpart charged at each other at full speed to commence the battle. Who will control this body and determine their fate? Flashback end. Thanks for listening to my video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and comment below your favorite part. Sayonara, see you in the next video.